This is a true horror story about a group of cousins who embarked on an adventure that turned into a nightmare. We lived in Vancouver, Canada, and loved spending time together, often planning group trips for fun. Before diving into the story, let me introduce our group. There were 5 of us. The oldest was Ethan, followed by his sister Emma. Then came Olivia, my sister, followed by my cousin Ryan, and me, Zoe. Ryan and I were about the same age and lived in the same house since Ryan was my uncle's son. Emma and Ethan were siblings, children of our eldest aunt. That's our little crew. Now let me share the eerie tale of our unforgettable trip. It was December 2019 and we were bored with our daily routines. Craving some excitement, we decided to plan a trip to the wilderness near Squamish, a place known for its dense forests and rugged terrain, perfect for an adventure. We also thought we'd visit the nearby Britannia Mine Museum afterward to make the trip more exciting. We planned to leave in the evening, and Ethan arranged a spacious SUV from a friend so we could travel comfortably. As was our habit, we recited a prayer for a safe journey before setting off. That evening, we did the same and hit the road. The route to Squamish took us through a dense forest, and the road was eerily quiet. We were in high spirits, with Ethan playing soft music in the SUV. We sang along loudly, laughing and joking, creating a lively atmosphere inside the vehicle. We were so caught up in our fun that we didn't notice how desolate the road had become. Ethan remarked, "Man, this trip feels different, doesn't it?" We all laughed and agreed, continuing our joyful journey. The drive was smooth until we reached the forested stretch of the road. Suddenly, the SUV stopped dead in the middle of nowhere. Panic set in. The road was deserted, flanked by thick woods, and it was pitch dark. We knew help was unlikely, as vehicles rarely passed this way, maybe every few hours. Ethan and Ryan told us, Emma, Olivia, and me, to stay in the SUV while they checked the vehicle. They inspected the engine but found nothing wrong. Everything seemed fine, yet the SUV wouldn't start. As they worked, a bright light flashed through the forest and vanished, leaving us uneasy. Ethan and Ryan returned to the SUV, trying to start it again. Then out of nowhere, we saw a shadowy figure moving toward the woods. Ethan, thinking it might be someone who could help, jumped out and ran toward the figure. But when he got close, he froze. The man looked strange. His eyes had an unsettling, wild glint. Ethan mustered the courage to say, "Sir, our SUV broke down. Can you help us?" The man stared at Ethan and then at us in the SUV as if sizing us up. In a low voice, he said, "Your SUV is fine." Ethan insisted it wasn't, explaining it had stopped suddenly. The man paused, then said irritably, "Start it." When Ethan protested, the man's tone turned menacing. "If you care about your safety and your cousins, leave now. Get out of here as fast as you can." Ethan, frustrated, started to argue, but Ryan, still in the SUV, tried the ignition again. To our shock, the SUV roared to life. Ethan turned to look, and when he glanced back at the man, he was gone, vanished into thin air. We were both relieved and terrified. Who was that man and where did he go? Without wasting time, Ethan floored the gas pedal, eager to leave the creepy forest behind. But we couldn't shake the feeling that something was following us, though nothing was visible when we looked back. When we reached Squamish, we headed to a hotel to book rooms, planning to split into 2, one for the girls and one for the guys. But the hotel manager informed us that no rooms were available. Seeing our distress, he suggested a vacant house nearby, saying it was empty and available. Hesitant but exhausted, we exchanged uneasy glances. Zoe asked, "Is it really the only house around?" The manager confirmed it was isolated, surrounded by open fields. With no other options, we took the address and headed there. The house stood alone, just as the manager described. It was open, empty, with 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a couple of bathrooms. It felt strange, but we were too tired to care. We decided to rest and plan the next day's adventure. As we settled in, we realized we hadn't brought blankets, expecting to stay in a hotel. To our surprise, we found a few in a closet. Grateful for the warmth, we wrapped ourselves in them and fell asleep quickly. But our rest didn't last. A few hours later, Emma and Olivia's screams woke me. They swore they heard Ethan and Ryan calling us. We rushed to their room, hearts pounding. Ethan and Ryan were startled, rubbing their eyes as if waking from a deep sleep. They denied calling us, suggesting it was our imagination. Confused but exhausted, we returned to our room, trying to convince ourselves it was a dream. Yet an uneasy feeling lingered, as if we were trapped in a nightmare. Soon after, Ethan and Ryan experienced something similar, hearing voices calling them. They didn't wake us, assuming it was their imagination. But then, a loud noise jolted us all awake. It sounded like a celebration, drums and laughter as if a party was happening outside. Ethan went to check, but there was nothing, no people, no signs of a gathering. In the distance, we saw a figure with its back to us. Ryan called out, but when the figure turned, we froze. It was the same man from the forest, his eerie eyes locked on us. Ethan, trying to stay calm, asked, "What are you doing here? Are you following us?" The man smirked and said, "I live here. I just go to the forest to hunt." Ryan, confused, asked, "Hunt? Are there animals in that forest?" The man shook his head and said chillingly, "No, I hunt people like you." Our blood ran cold. Ethan pressed him, asking if he was a robber preying on travelers. The man laughed, a wild, unsettling laugh, and then vanished before our eyes. Terrified, we locked the door and huddled in the living room, too scared to return to our rooms. Strange noises continued, a faucet running in the bathroom, dishes clattering in the kitchen. But each time we checked, nothing was there. We recited prayers, hoping for protection, and for a moment, the noises stopped. But as we tried to sleep, the ceiling fan spun wildly in the December cold, and the bedroom door slammed repeatedly, refusing to open despite our efforts. Laughter echoed in our room, sending us into a panic. We screamed for Ethan and Ryan, who were desperately trying to break the door down. Suddenly it flung open and we stumbled out, shaken. We decided to stay in the living room wrapped in blankets, but the horrors didn't stop. Someone knocked on the front door, but we refused to open it, fearing another encounter. Then a deafening crash, like something heavy falling, woke us from a brief sleep. Nothing was out of place. The night felt endless, with strange voices calling our names, urging us to leave with them. We resisted, knowing responding could trap us further. As dawn approached, we prayed fervently, finding solace in our faith. When the first light of morning appeared, we gathered our things and tried to leave. The front door wouldn't budge, and a voice taunted, "You'll never leave." But through our prayers, the door suddenly opened. We ran to the SUV, thanking God for our escape. Determined to confront the hotel manager who sent us to that house, we drove back. To our shock, the manager claimed he was the only one on duty and had never spoken to us. He revealed that others had been sent to that same house by an unknown person posing as staff. Chilled by the realization, we booked rooms at the hotel, trying to salvage our trip. But the trauma lingered, making every sound feel like a threat. We completed the trip and returned home, passing through that forest again. The same man appeared briefly, but we sped away, never looking back. 6 years later, the memory still haunts us. We swore off adventure trips, and even the mention of one sends shivers down my spine. I believe our prayers saved us that night. This is my chilling story, and I hope you share yours with your horror community. Thanks for listening.